obviously, I don't need to say it, fighting Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, UFC 282. Let me just get your thoughts on him as an opponent. There's so much to say, obviously. He's been all over the freaking sport in everybody's face, but how do you feel about him?
I like him, man.
He's good for the sport, you know?
I like him. I think he's, character and uh but as for fighting him, I think I'm better everywhere. He's unpredictable, he goes for it, he can get wild at times. Um so he still can be dangerous. Um but I think that I have more tools and I think I know I have more tools. I know I'm more well rounded and more polished and I have more experience. I've fought my level of competition is way higher than his level of competition by far, by far. Um, and like he's been gifted some fights, man. If you watch his Cage Warrior fights, he's been gifted some of those fights. He's lost to some guys that are now in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, but he's still dangerous. I'm not underestimating him. I'm not looking past him. I'm as ready as I've ever been for any fight. I'm the best version of myself that I've ever been, and I'm going to win on Saturday night.
So how did this fight even come about? Because, just being on Twitter, I see constantly fighters tweeting at Paddy, being like, yo, dude, I'll fight you. I'll fight you. I'll fight you. And then Paddy's like, nobody will fight me, blah, blah, blah. So how did you become the guy that's going to take him out?
Well, it came about years ago when I fought his teammate Chris Fishgold, and I beat his teammate. And before Paddy even made his UFC debut, like when he got signed to UFC, they were asking him, "Who do you want to fight?" And I was one of the names he threw out there because he wanted to get that win back for his team.
Sure.
And he named me. He named like my teammate Herbert Burns, and he named a couple other guys. And then so I was like, okay. And then, obviously he had 3 fights where he didn't fight me. I guess they wanted to see where he was at first. At that point, I already had like probably 8 or 9 UFC fights.
Yeah.
So to put him in, it doesn't make sense at all. A UFC debut got to fight a guy with 9 fights.
Oh, you would have absolutely smashed him in his debut. Unbiasedly, I think you're going to win this fight too. But yeah, you're 100% not the kind of guy to feed for your UFC debut to Jared Flash Gordon.
Yeah, so I mean, 3 fights later, here we are, and we've been calling each other out. Since I fought Selecki, and then I fought Grant. I lost that fight, so I didn't really have much say. But then after he won his last fight, he was like, "Oh, Jared, I was scheduled to fight Leo Santos. If Jared beats Leo Santos, I want to fight him." So finally, it's come together, and it's perfect timing, man. Here we are, co-main event. If I fought him on his debut, it would have been like on the prelim or probably like the featured bout of a prelim card.
Right.
So now we're the co-main event on a pay-per-view. So
best case scenario, it sounds like. Have you heard from him at all since the fight's been announced? Has he like reached out to talk any sort of shit?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
I was just wondering because he's loud.
He's been respectful from what I hear. I don't really stare at Instagram and Twitter recently, and I don't really like scrolling too much. So I'm not like in the I don't really know what's going on, but
Right.
I heard like, oh, I'm gonna beat him in the first round or knock him out in the first round, which is what everyone says. Yeah. He's not the first guy to tell me he's gonna knock me out, and then I go and crush them.
Yeah.
So, but no, he's been respectful, and I watched the countdown, and he was like, I respect Jared. He's come back from, from hell, and he's a great example of what you can do. So no, he's been nothing but respectful so far, and we'll see what happens at the press conference.
Sure.
But which I'm expecting, a lot of talk, but that's fine, man, because this is the game, bro, and I've been preparing myself for this, and it's not the first time someone's talked shit to me since
Right.
since I've been fighting people have been talking shit. So that's fine. That's
Yeah,
what we do. I mean, people talk shit in the streets. We fight in the street. People talk shit in real fighting when we fight. It's how it's like my whole life.
yeah. I mean, yeah, and it's exactly how you said. It's part of the game. I'm glad to hear that he is treating you respectfully. I think that would be a wise decision on his part. Anyways, I wouldn't want to anger you as a dog. Now, I'm not sure if you're a gambling man or not, but that point aside, right now you're looking at like a plus 160 underdog going up against him as like a minus 200 favorite. I don't I don't understand those odds at all. Do you have any thoughts on that, or do you put any weight on that value?
Dude, people are betting on him, and that's it's a bunch of hype that people
Like,
are betting on. So Bilal Muhammad was a big dog against Sean Brady.
yep,
You know, so it's like, how many fights I've been the underdog in, and I go and crush the guy.
a lot, bro. I've cashed on a lot of them.
I don't give a shit, dude. It's like, doesn't make sense. I've been a favorite in fights and lost. So you can say this, you can say that. Fight's a fight, bro. And I have these. I would say 90% of these people don't know what they're talking about, anyways,
Oh, sure.
or what they're looking at. So
Yeah, I think pretty much most MMA fights are 50-50. It's a fist fight. Anything can happen. So I don't put too much weight and value on odds either. Now, I'm sure I kind of know your answer for this. A lot of people, they're like, nah, I don't really do that. But without giving anything away, without even saying it blatantly a prediction, do you have any idea how this fight's going to go down? Like, what do you see happening?
yeah, I see the first round being like action packed, and then I drown him.
That's a pretty
And
common theme for your fights too.
I'm gonna bring him to see, like, you watch a fight and you're like, oh, but when you're in there, it's a completely different feeling. What I'm doing, it's a suffocating, drowning, like I want to get out of here type of feeling, and that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna bring him to a place that he's never felt, and that he'll never ever want to go back to.